The Sacramento Kings are in the Mile High tonight to take on the Denver Nuggets, number 2 in the Western Conference, who will debut Isaiah Thomas. Back in the NBA, making his Nuggets debut tonight, hasn't played since March 22nd.
Yeah, it's been a long process. I've been out 11 months, so it's been tough for me, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm just blessed to be able to be in this position, to be able to get back on the floor and be able to compete and be out there with my teammates. So if that's tonight, that would be great. If not, it'd be right after All-Star weekend. But at the same time, I'm excited about the opportunity. It's been, like I said, it's been a long time coming, and I can't wait to get out there.
Isaiah, what's been the most difficult part of these last 11 months? Is that the longest you've ever gone without?
Yeah, just the down days. Rehab every day, 2 times a day. For 11 months, that gets boring. It gets really boring, but I got a goal that I want to reach. I want to be one of the best players that ever played the game, so there's no quitting me. This is just a part of my story, and I'm going to just continue to grind, continue to keep going, and continue to listen to my body, and hopefully I can help this team take the next step.
Isaiah, having been out for 11 months, what do you expect of yourself as a player when you get back on the court?
Just to be who I am. That's the guy that makes a difference out there, plays to win, scores the basketball, makes plays. I know it's not all going to come back right away, so I'm not putting any pressure on myself, but at some point in time it will come back, and the world will know.
Is that the most difficult aspect, just the patience that it's going to take?
Yeah, for sure, but I've been through this before last year, so last year I was all wanting back in day one, and that's not going to happen. I've been out even longer than I was last year, so I'm going to be patient with my body, I'm going to be patient with my game, knowing that it's going to take a while. It took me years to get to an MVP level, and I know it's going to take me a while to get back to that level and get back to feeling like that player again. So I'm just going to take it day by day and continue to get better each day.
Isaiah, with what you've been through over the last couple of years, does any doubt ever creep into your mind that you will be able to get back to that guy you say you think you can still get back to?
Nah, there's no doubt. I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of. It's just I hit a bump in the road, but I've hit a lot of bumps throughout my career, and that's just my story. So I'm going to just keep going, and I know at some point that opportunity will come back that I got a few years ago, and I'll take it and run with it.
Does what you've been through, the last pick of the draft, being overlooked your whole career, does that still drive you to this day?
It drives me in different ways. I'm not out to prove to nobody what I can do. The world knows what I bring to the table each and every night. I just got to prove that I'm healthy, and that's the most important thing that I'm looking forward to doing. When I'm healthy, I'm one of the best players in the world, and that's just facts. And I'm pushing myself to get back to that level and help this team get to the playoffs and go even further.
Isaiah, you haven't played here yet, but already number 0 jerseys dot the arena. People cheer for you when you're on the road. Why do you think you and your story resonates so much with fans, not only here but around the league?
It's inspiring, I think. I think one of the biggest things, they seen what I went through a couple years ago with the passing of my sister and how I pushed through, and it wasn't just me though. It was like the world helped me get through that. And also, I'm you guys' height. Most of you guys' height, the world's height, so they kind of gravitate to stories like that. Guys being overlooked, guys being counted out, and I know my story is inspirational to all the kids around the world, and my job is to keep going, because once you hit a bump in the road or they put a wall up on you, I've always just ran through the wall anybody's ever put up on me, and I'm going to continue to do that, continue to trust in God, and continue to have fun. I'm just glad to be in this position to be able to play the game I love again, because it's been a long time since I played.
Is there any more pain in the hip, or are you 100% go and you don't even worry about it anymore?
Nah, it's almost 100%. I probably would never be at 100% again, but it's close to it. Exactly, nobody is, but I don't feel what I felt last year. That has left my body, and I'm just seeing what my body can and cannot do. And the biggest thing probably for me now is I'll be on a minutes restriction, but playing and seeing how fast I recover, that's probably going to be the biggest thing for me. But playing-wise, going up and down and playing, I haven't had a problem with that, and I haven't had any pain. So.
How much 5-on-5 have you been able to play so far?
The last couple of days I got in some with the team, but before that I was just going to local gyms when we was on the road trying to find somewhere to just get some cardio in and get some try to get my rhythm back. But I feel like I'm ready to go. We're going to make the decision later today.
Isaiah, you and Michael Malone go back a long way. What's just your thought on the job that he's done this year with this team?
He's done a hell of a job. He definitely should be up for Coach of the Year. I think we've surpassed everybody's expectations, and we still got a long ways to go. But he's just, ever since I met him back in my third year, going into my third year, he's been a real genuine guy that's always kept it 100% real no matter what, and it's never been personal. He's always been trying to do what's best for the organization, and that was the biggest reason I signed here, because I knew at the end of the day he knows who I am as a player and as a person, and he's going to give me the opportunity to show to the world what I'm capable of doing. So I have 100% trust in Mike Malone, and he's done a hell of a job this season.
Isaiah, how difficult has it been for you to sort of mute all the naysayers and the critics for the past 11 months? I know you're pretty active on Twitter.
It's been difficult, but my life has changed since I had that tragedy with my sister. I try to just focus on the positive. Neglect all the negative that comes, because it's around the world no matter what. But I try to focus on my family, my kids, doing what I can to be able to get back on the basketball court and just having that good energy at all times, and that's all I'm worried about.
And then just in terms of fit with the Nuggets, how do you think you would complement Monte Morris and Malik Beasley in terms of the guard depth?
I don't know. I really don't. But my job is not to fit in, it's to stand out no matter what team I'm on. So I'm going to do whatever I can to get minutes on the basketball floor, and I'm going to play to win and help this team get to the next level.
Isaiah, we haven't been able to ask you about just Nikola Jokic's All-Star year so far. Just your impressions of what he's done?
The best big man in the NBA. By far, he does it all. He's a very talented basketball player that you don't see around like that. They don't come around like that. So the best thing about him, he's just so humble. He works hard. He's hell of a teammate, and he wants to win, and he wants to be really good. So when you have those attributes and you have those things, that's half the battle. So I'm happy to be able to hopefully soon compete and be on the same floor as him, and he'll make the game so much easier for myself.
This team has seemed like such a tight-knit group all year. What's been your impression from inside the locker room about why you guys have had such a good chemistry?
Because I'm here. It's a great group of guys that don't have any egos. I've been on a few teams like that to where guys don't care about who gets the success. We just care about winning. And since day one when I came here, I've seen that. And Coach told me about that. But being here since August, I've seen these guys. Nobody cares about what they're doing. We just care about getting wins and getting better each and every day, and that's a good sign when you have that.
You've been on a conference finalist team. Do you think this team has that same potential?
You never know. I don't want to put that on this team just because I don't think any of these guys been to the playoffs, but Paul. So I don't want to do that, but we have the potential to be really good. I think the sky's the limit for this team, but the playoffs are different. And it's nothing like the regular season, which I tell these guys all the time. But mentally and physically, I think we're ready for that, and we just got to continue to get better each and every day.
Being on the sidelines, did you kind of focus on a mentor role for the younger guys on this team?
No, I'm still young. I don't do no mentor roles. But I help when I can. I'm a leader. That's what I've been since day one. So if I see something, I'm always going to say something. And I told guys since day one, it's never personal. We want to win. We want to be really good. We want to make the playoffs. I'm a talk. That's one thing I'm always do. And these guys have adjusted to that. And I, like I said, they've welcomed me with open arms since day one. And Mike Malone and this whole organization wants me to be who I am, and that's a leader.
One more.
Isaiah, what's been the biggest surprise for you coming into this franchise?
That they haven't pushed me to play. They've been. Since before I signed, they told me they're not going to pressure me into getting on the floor when I'm not ready, and I thank them enough for that. This organization has been everything they said they were going to be and more, and I'm just glad to be a part of something special.
Been such a roller coaster for Isaiah Thomas over the last couple of years. Remember, he was third in the league in scoring 2 seasons ago. Then he had all the hip trouble in Boston that cut short his playoff time there. He was traded, then traded again, and then needed surgery. It cut short his season last year with the LA Lakers. Comes back on a minimum deal with Denver, and he was poised to make all kinds of money on his next deal. there might be a temptation on his part to be even more aggressive, and he's always been an aggressive scorer. For a team that's already 6th in the league in terms of offensive efficiency, what's the best case scenario for adding minutes for IT?
You know, and I think for him is not playing in that starting unit, because I think they have enough offense. And nothing against Isaiah Thomas. He said it. We all know that's where he's made his mark. He's a scorer. You just said it, Matt. I think he's at his best when he's scoring the basketball. And for me, it was just mind-boggling. You just say 3 years ago, he was, like you said, 3rd leading scorer, but he was in MVP conversations. And then also in that playoffs, it was a wonderful run, what he had. It was amazing. And to see where he's at now, I'm just happy, like he said, and you can see it, that he's got an opportunity. Everybody had been questioning. You didn't know, because obviously that hip injury was something that, especially for a small guy, can he overcome this? But one thing he will bring toughness. He will bring a sense of confidence that these young guys can rally around. And the one thing he can't do, though, is overshadow these guys. And I know he's always had that chip on his shoulder.
Yeah,
he has to keep it. But he has to understand it was totally a different team that you had with the Boston Celtics. You had guys that was built to say, okay, you got to make sure these young guys are okay with the way you play and come out. And I think that's where Mike Malone and him are going to really have to sit down. They need him to be himself. But I think they need him to be himself on a second unit. Not to say he can't start. He's a starting team type player, but he has to, in that starting unit, get guys shot versus him just being a guy taking shots.
Remember, he had a 53-point playoff game less than 2 years ago before all this, his career was derailed by this injury. And you heard him say a moment ago, he's still not 100%. It might never be 100% again. Question for you. If you're one of his confidants, maybe even his agent, what's your advice to him about how to approach this, whatever they have left, 25, 26 games left of the season, with the contract and the career in mind moving forward?
Well, I think the one good thing is I'm happy he's getting a chance to play this game before All-Star break. He'll get a chance to see his psyche and test, and then he gets to go through All-Star break and rehab extremely hard. I think for him is not to rush it, even if he's feeling good. Best case scenario for me is if they're in the playoffs, and he can have games where he's finishing games for them, and they need that punch of scoring, and he's putting up like 17 and 18. He might not be putting up the 50s he was putting up.
Right.
But if you can finish games and he's healthy, and they're winning games with him coming in and getting 14, 13, maybe 9 and a quarter, and they're winning, and they can win a playoff series, people will look and say, hey, whether he's with the Denver Nuggets or not, people might take a chance and say Isaiah Thomas could be the Isaiah Thomas we saw 3 years ago.
Because if he's healthy, he can have an impact. He's one of those guys who could win a playoff game or two for a team over an extended run.
But one thing about him is he's one of those players, man, and you watched him. You're not going to guard him with one guy, even at his size.
Right.
He has enough ability of shooting and his strength and his craftiness to make sure he can get his shot off and get into the paint. And that's the one thing I think they're missing. I love Jamal Murray. I love Gary Harris. But they don't have a guy that's breaking down people, getting into that paint, and making the defense collapse and maybe kicking out the shooters.
It's a good offense. It's a really unusual offense as well for the NBA. Isaiah Thomas making his season debut and Nuggets debut.